Kalkadosh Boker Or, Masechet Sanhedrin Daf Yomi, Daf Yudzain Amud Aleph, 17a1. Says the Gemara. Okay, we were just talking about imach vat badayu. You remember we were talking about how many people are going to be the Sanhedrin Gdolah. So it said Sanhedrin Gdolah was going to be 71. Why? Because the rabbi said Moshe al Gaben. Moshe was going to be with the 70. So when HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and he tells them, gather for me the 70 zikenim, the 70 people. So here he's saying 70 people plus the 1. So it's going to be 71. So he says, Amar Kar, the Pasuk says, V'tyatzvu sham imach vat badayu. So it's mashma that you're going to be together with them. So it comes out together, it's going to be 71 dayanim. Rabbi Yehuda, but according to Rabbi Yehuda, he says imach means with the shechina, not with them. Meaning it's really 70 in total. It's not 71. It says imach. Yeah, imach with the shechina, not with you. That becomes 71. For Rabbanan, but according to rabbis, Amar Kar, the Pasuk says, V'naseu itach, right? Itecha b'masam, itecha vat badayu. There it's with you, and also with you're one of them, meaning it's going to be 71. Rabbi Yehuda says itecha b'domin lecha. When it says itecha, it just means people that are equal to you, not 100% equal. Obviously, because you can't find an equal to a Moshe Rabbeinu, but a kavanah means that they're like you, right? And that's what you have to get. That means you have to get people which are very high levels. But Rabbanan, according to the rabbis, miveakel me'alecha v'naseu itach nafka. They're going to learn that you have to enlighten it from the nation, and they're going to carry the burden with you. There, the word itach means that he has to be compared to you. And they're learning the Sanhedrin Gdolah from the Sanhedrin Ktana. That means just like Sanhedrin Ktana, that Dayanim have to be very, very miuchasim, and they have to have, they have to be without any blemishes. So to Sanhedrin Gdolah, they learn it from the Sanhedrin Ktana. Okay, fine. Next, 2 dots. Yeah, we're talking about now Tan Rabbanan. It's actually not 2 dots, but it's like a 2 dots. Yeah, Tan Rabbanan. We learned in a Braita. You remember this is talking about the 2 brothers, or half brothers actually, of Moshe Rabbeinu, Eldad uMeidad. So there were 2 people that they stayed out of the Machaneh. Yesh omrim, some people say shebekalpi nishtayru, that they actually stayed out because of the kalpi. שבשעה שאמר הקדוש ברוך הוא משה בזמן הקדוש ברוך הוא told Moshe Rabbeinu עשה לי 70 מזיזים שבזכרים משה כיצד תעשה? If Rosh Hashanah, if I'm going to take 6 from every single shevet, so it's going to come out that there's going to be an extra 2. If Rosh חמישה מכל shevet, if I'm going to take 5 and 5, we're going to have out that there's going to be 10 lacking. So if Rosh שישה משבט זה וחמישה משבט זה, if I'm going to take 6 from one shevet and 5 from another one, הריני מטיל קנאה בין השבטים, I'm going to put קנאה between the shvatim. What did he do? He took 6 from every single shevet, and then it was going to come out 72 papers. So right on and what he did was he wrote down zaken, ushnayim miniach halak, and 2 of them he left empty. Belalan, he mixed them up. Venetanam bekalpi, right, and he put them inside of the kalpi. Amal kalpi is the lottery, right, the raffle, right, and he says Amal, he told them bo tlu pitkalchem. Come take your petek, take your paper. Kol mishala biyado zaken, anybody that has zaken, right? Amar, he says, kvar kidushu shamayim, right? The shamayim made you into a zaken, into one of the Sanhedrin. Mishala biyado chalak amar, hamakom lo chavetz b'cha. Hashem didn't want you, right? Anima eselecha. So what am I going to do then? Right? That's according to this. Right? That means basically it comes out that there's 2 different opinions. Some people say it was mamash that they were left over, and some people that they took themselves out, meaning that way they didn't need the vote. Right? Sometimes that happens, by the way. Sometimes it happens that, for example, like there's only 8 people running and they need 7, they need to vote for 7 people. So they just say, you know what, if one person just steps down, they don't even need to vote. That's it. They go up and that's it. Right? But fine. All right? Right? So too they're going to say, ולקחת 5 שקלים לגולגולת. אמר Moshe, says Moshe, כיצד אעשה להם לישראל? What am I going to do to Israel? אם אומר לו, if I'm going to tell them, פדיונך וצא, right? Give me the pidyon and go out. Yomali, they're going to say, kvar pedani ben Levi. Right, that you're going to be patur, right, from coming and from, right, redeeming. Masa, what did he do? He took 22,000 peteks and he wrote Ben Levi. 22,000 papers. He wrote Ben Levi on it. And then another 273, he wrote on them 5 shekalim. Belalan, again, he mixed them up. Then Ataram bekalpi, he put in a raffle. Amarla, and he told all the bechors, take the peteks. Mishala biyado ben Levi, and whoever got Ben Levi, Amar lo kvar b'techa ben Levi. So the Ben Levi redeemed you. He says Mishala biyado, but if whoever's got 5 shekalim, he says you have to give your pidyon, and then you're going, meaning now you're going to have to pay up the 5 shekalim, and then you're going to be redeemed. Okay, until here we're clear. Fine.
No. So what did he do? He took 6 from.
Second opinion. Okay, Rabbi Shimon Omer, Rabbi Shimon says, "B'machane nishtayru b'shasha Hakadosh Baruch Hu Moshe Yisrael 70 ish." Amar Eldad Amru said it that the Medad Ener Nuyot Agdula. We're not fitting for it. Amar Hakadosh Baruch Hu says Hakadosh Baruch Hu, "Chelu miyatem et tzmechem." Right. So since you minimize yourselves, Hareni Mosif Gdula Gulatchem. You guys are going to get even a Gdula. Uma Gdula Osav lehem Shaneviim Kulan Ninavnu Pasku Vehem Nitnabeu Velo Pasku. All the others Kenim, they had nevuah for that moment that they needed it. Upasku, but then it stopped their nevuah. Eldad umeidad, they never stopped having nevuah. That means they minimize themselves. Like Baruch Hu says, you minimize yourself, I'm going to make you even greater. So you guys become greater than all the other ones. But they step down. Okay? What was the nevuah? Uma nevuah nitabeu. Amru Moshe met, Yoshua machnis et Yisrael la'aretz. He said Moshe Rabbeinu was going to pass away, and Yoshua is going to bring them into Israel. Abacharim Meshubim Lazal Ali Iskes Selav Emitabim. Ali Selav, Ali Selav. What does that mean? They're talking about the Selav. Meaning because of that, he said, I can't carry the nation by themselves. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, right, go bring me the 70 Ish Miziknei Am. So he says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and he brought them Slavs. So according to Shitat Rabbi Eliezer, Lo nibeu hazikanim al inyan shalatid, ela tzorchei hashah, meaning only what they needed to. Right? And that's why they called the nevuatam el slav she'alav, right? She'aluv, pashtu. So that means basically they went, we're going to have slav, right? Which is basically the birds that used to come, and that was the meat that they had in the desert. Okay? An extra interpretation of Nachman Amar, Aliske Gogu Magog, they were being mitznabed, right? They had nevuah on the Gogu Magog. Shnei says a pasuk, Ko Amar Hashem. This is what Hashem said, Elokim ata hu שדיברתי בימים קדמונים ביד עבדי נביאי ישראל הנביאים בימים ההם, שניים להביא אותך עליהם, אל תקרא שנים, בזה זה שנים להביא להם. It says, אל תקרא שנים, אלא שניים. What does that mean? What does that mean you're going to make דורש the שניים? ואיזו הן שניים נביאים שנדעו בפרק אחד, נבואה אחת, אלדד ומדד. So אלדד ומדד, they both had a נבואה to do with Gog ומגוג. Okay? Fine. אמר more says, כל הנביאים כולן נתערבו פסקו, ודלת ומידד נתערבו לא פסקו. מנהלן דפסקו. How do we know that there's a kenim? They stopped having nevuah. So if it's going to be because the Ktiv is written, ויתנבאו ולא יספו, that they had nevuah and they wanted to continue. אלא מעתה, כל גדול ולא יסף. When it says כל גדול ולא יסף, אכן הם לא יסיפו, what, it will never come again? אלא דלא פסקו. It just means, right, that if in the same pasuk, it's not going to continue. Right? ולא יספו means שלא פסקו מלהתנבא. So you can learn from there that they stopped having nevuah bichlal. Ela hacha, but rather, as it says in a pasuk, ketiv, it's written, vayitnabeu hatam ketiv mitnabeim. Mitnabeim is a dime, mitnabeim olchim. Meaning, when it says this entire inyan, it says vayitnabeu. Now, it means he had a nevuah. But when it says mitnabeim, it's mashma that they're continuing to have nevuah all the time. Right? Mitnabeim is mashma all the time. Okay? So Bisham al Amar, I understand according to the Manda Amar Moshe met Hainu Dichtiv, that's why it says Adoni Moshe Klaim. But according to the Manda Amar Hanachtarte, according to the Manda Amar of these two nevuot of Gog Magog or the Slav, what does it mean now Adoni Moshe Klaim? Meaning I understand why Yoshua is becoming very upset and he tells Moshe Rabbeinu, destroy them or put them up, lock them up or whatever it is the Klaim means. Right? Why? Because he was upset that he's saying Moshe Rabbeinu was going to die and Yoshua is going to bring them in. But if you're going to tell me Stam that they had a nevuah on Gog Magog, so now what? You have to kill them for that? Or they had a nevuah that they're going to get Slavs, so you have to kill them for that. Like, well, what's the big deal? So answers the Gemara, the lav orach ara. It's not normal to do such a thing. It's like considered like a talmid, which is moreh halacha in front of his rabbi. You remember we said that if somebody's going to be a talmid paskening in front of his rabbi, he's going to be chayav mitah. So therefore, they said it was like that, and that's why he went and he said, "Kilaim, get rid of them." So Bishlam al-Mandamar Hanechtarti, I understand these two things. Hainu Dichib is a pasuk miten al kol ha'am Hashem nevim el Mandamar Moshe met menach haveneichale. He says, 1 second. What was the answer of Moshe Rabbeinu? Moshe Rabbeinu comes and he says, halvai that everybody should be nevim. Now, if it's going to be on Gog Magog and on the Slav, you're right. But if it's going to be that that Moshe Rabbeinu is going to die and Yoshua is going to come in, what is that something good? That he comes and he says halvai that everyone should be nevim? Like what's going on? So says the Gemara, lo siyemu kameh. What does that mean? He didn't tell them what was a nevuah. Meaning, Yoshua purposely didn't tell Moshe Rabbeinu what was the nevuah that they had, because he didn't want to hurt Moshe Rabbeinu. So he just went and he said that you had two people that they're being mitznabeh, they're profiting in the machaneh, kill them. Says Moshe Rabbeinu, halvai that they should always be, everyone should be Nevi'im. What's the problem? But Yoshua didn't actually finish off what actually happened. So what does it mean kilaim now? What does it mean to destroy them or kilaim or to lock them up? Amar lo atel alein tzorchet tzibur. Give them tzorchet tzibur, vehen kalim me'alein, and they're going to be worth out on their own. Meaning when you give somebody tzorchet tzibur, they get tired out. And therefore they kilu, right? He says over here, or another thing also, כשיתעסקו בצורכי ציבור, תוספות says, לא יוכלו להיות בשמחה. You should know the worst job is tzorchet tzibur. I once heard this from a person that for many, many years he was doing community work. And he said, you know why? They will only complain and they'll never thank you. They'll never thank you, but you'll always get a complaint. Always. Complains. I know people that they'll complain right, left, and center. But to say thank you? What are you going to say thank you? Huh? You? Huh? I know that we don't need a thank you, but at the end of the day, it makes a person not besimcha. Because it doesn't matter whether you need it or not, in the inner side, if you're only hearing the complaints and you never hear when it's going well, somebody once told me, a rabbi, if nobody's complaining, that's the best sign that everything's actually going well. And that is the sign that things are going well. If nobody's complaining. But he says, but the concept though is that why? Because then a person gets sad. So if he's sad, he's not going to be happy. Doesn't get ruach hakodesh. He doesn't get simcha. So obviously he's not going to get the nevuah. So says the Gemara. We spoke about the 23 dayanim. And then we went and we brought down a mekor for 20 dayanim. You remember we said eda. So 10 and 10, so it equals 20. So minayin laviot shosha. How do you know they have to bring another 3 dayanim? Okay, how do you know you have to bring another 3 dayanim? So this is the 2 dots, right? We're going back on the Mishnah. Okay, so sof, he says, lira'a zal pi shnayim lo mashkach aleh, ve'i 11 mezakinu 12 mechayvin, akati chadhu, ve'i 10 mezakinu 13 mechayvin, tlat avu. So says the Gemara, we don't understand. He says, once you already said that you needed 23, he says you can't go to the negative, because remember, the negative, you always needed 2 extra, right? And then if you're going to have 11 and 12, so therefore you're going to have only 12 mechayvin, you can't do anything, because it's still only going to be 1 extra. And if it's going to be 10 mizakin and 12 and 13 mechayvin, it's 3 extra. So what's going on? It's not 2 extra. So Rabbi Avu, right here we're talking about that you're always going to add, and according to everybody, that he says shivim, meaning that we're talking about shivim, and therefore you're going to have right the 2 which are going to be extra. That it's all going to be right that you're going to have 34 and 36. Okay, so he says, whenever we're going to add on to dayanim, then we do make a bedin shakul, right? Because basically the dayan does not know, right, that he's not part of the minyan. So when you're adding another 2 dayanim, it comes out that it's actually going to be shakul. So says the Gemara Pshita, obviously. So he says, meaning if you come and you say, I don't know. You remember we spoke about what happens when the dayan comes and he says, I don't know. I don't have an answer. So it's kilu that he's not there. So I would have thought to say, no, really he's there, but he just chose to vote absent, meaning like to no vote. V'yamar minta shamina lei. If you're going to tell me that what? That there's going to be like a minta, the Kamashmalan comes teach you, right? That the one that's going to say, I don't know, it's like he's not even there. Therefore, if he's going to say now the svara, we don't even listen to him because he's not there. Meaning, once the guy comes and he's going to vote, I don't know, it's as if the guy's not there. You understand? Like, there's rules with this. I know, like, even in many different places, right, there's a difference between a no vote or no show or things like that. Like, in all these things, it's very, very important. Okay? So, Amar of Kana, says of Kana, Sanedre she ra'u kulan lechova. When you have a Sanhedrin, that they all start coming and looking everything as a chova, potrinoto, right? They're going to come. They're going to potrim the bedin, the Sanhedrin. My Tamot's reasoning, Kevin the Gamre, because we learned halanat din lemeva le zechuta, that they have to always try to look for a zechut. The hani to lochazole. Now these dayanim, they don't do that, right? Why? Because they're never going to come and look for a zechut. So it comes out that there's no toelet with halanat adin. So therefore, you can't change the din. So therefore, obviously, it's not going to change it. So obviously, we're talking about right now a Sanhedrin, right? That everybody looked lechova. So then that's it. Potrim oto. Okay? They just say it's going to be patur. Yeah, because basically, since everybody voted to kill him, so therefore it's too much. Here we're going to learn this in Perek Hamishi. Shim lo matzu adainim zechul anidon biyom harishon shel hadiyun, right? Malinim et hadin. We wait until the second day because maybe they're going to find it. But if you're going to have the everybody you said lechova, there's nothing to do anymore. So potrim oto. Okay, because we can't be gomer et hadin. We can't finish hadin. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, Emo shivim Sanhedrin. We're not going to put in a Sanhedrin. Okay, whether it's the Gdolah or the Ktana, Ela Bale Koma, people that are tall, Bale Chokhmah, wisdom, Bale Mar'eh, or good appearance. We're obviously going to explain, right? Here it says because Bale Koma, people are afraid of them. So therefore it's kilu that they're not going to come, they're not going to lie. Okay, Bale Koma, Bale Chokhmah, Bale Mar'eh, Bale Zikna, right? Bale Keshafim, right? Whether it's Zikna, Keshafim, V'yodim B'shivim Lashon, or they know the 70 languages. Shelo te'eh Sanhedrin shomad mipid Turgaman. Why? Because they cannot come and listen from a Turgaman. So Amar Rav Yehuda Marav says Rav Yehuda Marav, Emo shivim Sanhedrin lamishu yodeh letaher et hasheretz min Torah. He has to be able to be metaher the sheretz min Torah. Mamash, like, like, what meaning a guy that he's very, very charif and he could start making kavachomers and everything and like, mamash, do all these things. So Amar Rav, ani adun v'tarenu. I could make a kavachomer, I could permit the sheretz. Okay, Yudzanim Ubet, 17b. Uma nachash shememit umarbe tuma. Just like the nachash is memit, right? That kills and it's marbe tuma baolam, and still the nachash is tahor after its death. Sheret she'eno memit umarbe tuma eno din shiyitor shvitaor. Velohi, but it's not true. Because midi have a kotz be'alma, because it's like a kotz, meaning the kotz is also going to be memit umarbe tuma, but still it's going to be tahor. So I like, we asked against that kal v'chomer, but again, it was a kal v'chomer that they wanted to use, that technically you could come and you could start permitting sheretz. Amar Rav Yehuda Marav says Rav Yehuda Marav, Kol ir shem b'shnayim ledaber ve'echad lishmoa. Any city that does not have two people that they know out of the 70 languages and one to listen to 70 languages, they can't make a sanhedrin. Uve'etar avu shlosha. There were three people. Uve'yavne there were four. Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yoshua, Rabbi Kiva, Rabbi Shimon, Timni, dal nifnehem b'karka. They judge in front of them. So meitvei, so they're going to ask a contradiction. Shlishit, which means that you have three dayanim, right? It's considered chachama. Right? Revi'it, if there's in the Sanhedrin 4 dayanim, en lemano, that's even better. Meaning, if you have 4 dayanim that they know all 70 languages, that's the best. So answers the Gemara, Hu da'amar kaitani, he says like Tanya shniya chachma shlishit lemano. He says there's a machloket. You say it's 2 and then 3, meaning 2 is a Sanhedrin which are very chachamim, and 3 there's nothing greater than it. Or is it 3 which are chachamim and 4 which is nothing greater than it? Okay, so it all depends on the two different. Answers the Gemara. Okay, fine. So basically, that he says no. He says like the other Tana that says 2 is chachama and 3 there's nothing greater than it. Lemedim lifnei chachamim lelevi, right? Levi merebi. When the halacha is going to be said, right? B'shem lemedim lifnei chachamim, the kavana is that Levi, that he was learning from Rebbe. Danin lifnei chachamim, meaning many times in the Gemara it says lemedim lifnei chachamim. They were learning in front of who's that? Levi. But Levi was learning right from Rebbe. Danin lifnei chachamim, when it says Danin lifnei chachamim, that's Shimon ben Azai, Shimon ben Zomach, Rav Nitzi, Chachanyan ben Chachinai. Okay? Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak matni chamisha, Shimon ben Azai, Shimon ben Zomach, Shimon ben Tivni, Chachanyan ben Nitzi, Chachanyan ben Chachinai. Okay? Rabotenu shebebavel. Who is Rabotenu shebebavel? Rav Shmuel. Who is Rabotenu sheberetz Yisrael? Rabbi Abba. Dayane Gola is Karna. Dayane Eretz Yisrael is Rabbi Ami Ravasi. Dayane de Pumpadita is Rav Papa bar Shemuel. Dayane de Narda is Ravada bar Minyumi. Sabe de Sura is Ravuna bar Chasta. Sabe de Pumpadita, the elders of Pumpadita is of Yuda Ravena. Harife de Pumpadita, the sharp ones of Pumpadita, is Efa Vavim ben Rachva. Amorae de Pumpadita, the Moraim of Pumpadita is Rabbi Rav Yosef. Amorae de Narda is Rav Chama. Neharbale Matnu is Rami bar Chama. Amri Berav is Ravuna. Right? So says the Gemara, Vehama Ravuna Amri Berav. Says, yeah, but Ravuna himself said Amri Berav. So how can you tell me that Amri Berav is Ravuna if he's saying that himself? Ella Ravamnuna. Okay? Amri B'Marava is Rav Yirmiyah. Shalchu Mitam, they sent from over there, is Rabbi Yosef Bar Chanina. Machku Alav B'Marava is Rabbi Elazar. Okay, so basically all these things were like titles, like here, for example, I told you, doctors, Arufeh Muvak, right? We even have a Askana Chashuv, right? Askana Muvak, yes, right? But meaning there's titles. So here, each person has a title. So he says, right? Veha shalchu mitam is in front of divrei Rabbi Yosef Chanina. So ela ipuch, you're right. Shalchu mitam is a Bilazar, and machku ala b'marav is a Yosef Chanina. Okay, fine. So basically, we just give you a whole bunch of lists of, whenever the Gemara says this, it equals this, right? Whenever it says, Sabed or this or that, we already know who they are. Okay, the names. Fine. We said, how many people do you need in a city in order to have a Sanhedrin? So he said 120. What? Why do you need 120? He says, you need 23 for the Sanhedrin Ketana. You need 3 rows of 23 for the Talmidei Chachamim, which are in front of the Dayanim. So therefore, you're going to have Tishim Vetarte. That's already 92. Asara batalim bet knesset, you need 10 batalim bet knesset to always be there. So it's going to be me'otrei, 102. Shne sofrim, you always need 2 of the sofrim in the bedin. Shne chazanin, 2 of the shamashim in the bedin. Shne balidarin, 2 litigants. Ushne idim, and 2 witnesses. Ushne zommin, 2 witnesses that could be edim zommin. Ushne zommezommi. So therefore, you're going to have are mea ve'arbeisar. You're going to have 114. Okay? So therefore, mea ve'arbeisar. Okay, so that's the minimum amount, right?
You need to have in the call.
Meaning, not that you need to have, you need the possibility that there could be a dim zomim, but if not, then there can't even be the dim zomim. You understand? Meaning, if there wasn't enough people in the city, so you can't even have dim zomim. So because of that, that's why he says the minimum you need is 120 people. Okay? Meaning you need 23 people as the Sanhedrin themselves, and you need 3, right? He says over here you need 3 rows of Talmidei Chachamim in order that just in case you have to add to the Dayanim. Okay, then you need Asara Batalim, which is always, you always need Asara Batalim in the city. That's the Gemara Masechet Megillah, and then you're going to need all the, whether it's the Sofrim, the Shamashim, the Edim, right? All these things. Fine. Vetanya, we learned in a Braita. If you don't have 10 things in the city, you're not allowed to live there. Betin shemakin ve'onshin. A betin they punish. That hidden they punish. Kupa shel tzedakah shenigvet b'shnayim. Kupa shel tzedakah, you have 2 people collecting. Mitchaleke b'shlosha. It's going to be divided by 3 people. Meaning the collection could be done with 2 people, but whenever they give the money, or it's always going to be with 3. Bet knesset, bet melchatz, bet kiser, rofe, all right, a doctor. Uman, somebody that takes out blood letter. Lavlar is a sofer, right? Okay, tabach is a shochet, right? Umlamet zinukot, mishum Rabbi Kiva amru min Rabbi Kiva that said, af minei peira, different fruits. Because it comes and it's going to enlighten the eyes. So these are something that everyone needs in order to live in a city.